Don't mean to alarm everyone, don't need to panic or anything, but there might be some bad news for the iPhone 12 lineup if there's some quality control issues like a month before mass production is supposed to start. So just filling you guys in, keeping you in the loop, things to be cautious about, and maybe lower expectations so that if anything remotely close to what we think is going to happen in September happens, then we'll be good. But yeah, today's report is overall bad news, so prepare yourselves. Let's begin. So in case you weren't aware, I did a video on this a couple weeks ago, but Apple was looking for not one, not two, but 3 different display manufacturers for the iPhone 12 lineup, which may sound crazy, but actually might be kind of necessary if you consider how many people buy iPhones every year compared to other smartphones that the iPhone competes with. It's a very, very popular lineup, and for the first time ever, Apple is planning 4 OLED iPhone variants this year, which is way more than they've done before. If you consider in 2017, they had 1 OLED iPhone. The following year, they had 2. And again, 2 OLED iPhones last year. But this year they want to double that to 4 with entry-level iPhones starting at rumored pricing of $650, $750 for the larger variant, which I always thought was pretty insane if you consider that in years prior, the OLED iPhone has always started at $1,000. So finding a way to get those displays a lot cheaper than they were currently at, because Samsung charges a lot for their screens, and the OLED panels were actually the most expensive single part of the iPhone 10, 10s, and 11. Of course, not counting the LCD panels that went into the 10R and 11. We're just talking about the OLED iPhones this year. But the 3 display manufacturers Apple is relying on was Samsung, which is the primary supplier for all the OLED panels so far. LG, which has done a few OLED panels for Apple. None of them really flagship. Like, pretty much Apple's only been using LG displays whenever they do a certified refurbished iPhone or a replacement iPhone, just to see how things are going with them. They don't put complete faith in them yet. But the third one was BOE, which had a lot of things going for it, because the reports and rumors we were hearing from supply chains was that BOE had found a way to make OLED panels a lot cheaper than Samsung, which of course Apple was very happy about. And that was supposed to be kind of the main reason Apple was able to have these cheaper entry-level OLED iPhones at $650 and $750, because obviously OLED panels are the expensive part of the iPhone, so you kind of need to get a new display manufacturer in order to lower the cost without eating too much profit. And now we're hearing reports that BOE is essentially failing quality control standards for Apple and Samsung. Yes, bizarrely enough, Samsung wanted to start ordering OLED panels from BOE, so there might have been a catch to that lower price point that Apple was promised initially. They were like, hey, we can buy OLED displays at much cheaper than Samsung prices. This is good. Now we can have cheaper, better looking iPhones, but if the standards don't hold up and the displays end up looking more crappy, and they're not really promising what BOE initially was telling Apple they could do, that is bad news overall, because for one, mass production of the iPhone 12 Max, the 6.1-inch OLED iPhone, that's like $750, that was supposed to start next month. So if they're just now trying to get all of their displays together, all of the parts ready, I'm sure pretty much every other aspect of the phone is being produced right now. And July is just when they start assembling the things, you know, and putting them in boxes. If they're running into this issue right now, I'm sure someone at Apple's got a big old headache right now, because they have to figure out how can BOE whip up another batch that actually meets quality control standards, or if BOE can't reach those standards Apple was expecting, do they have to go with Samsung? Do they have to go with LG? And either way, they're probably going to be more expensive than they originally were thinking. So worst case scenario, this could mean that the iPhone 12 and 12 Max, the entry-level iPhones, end up costing more than we initially thought. I mean, maybe like $50 more than we thought. So maybe the 5.4-inch iPhone will be $700. That way they can say the iPhone 12 lineup still starts at $700, just like the iPhone 11. It's just a much smaller iPhone than before. And then to get the iPhone 12 Max with the 6.1-inch OLED display, it'll be like $800 instead of $750. So overall, I still think they would be pretty competitive, and knowing that a lot of people do trade-in and monthly options, I don't think this really changes my opinion on the iPhone 12 being a super cycle. A lot of people wanting to upgrade this year and still undercutting a lot of their competitors with features, and the fact that it still runs iOS is going to persuade a lot of people to upgrade compared to Android phones with better specs but less software support and less ecosystem compatibility. Not willing to say any of those previous predictions I made are inaccurate now, but if we're hearing about these reports less than a month before mass production is supposed to begin, it means that things could be going pretty poorly. Behind the scenes, I'm sure Apple is scrambling, and they likely want to reach those price points we heard about leaked a few months ago, but probably going to be a lot more difficult if they're looking at different parts and prices that they were originally promised and now have to be thrown out because they're not reaching quality control standards. So definitely not good to hear about. I'm worried about the price price points, because knowing that they might have to rely on Samsung even more heavily than they already are, and how Samsung likes to price gouge Apple a little bit, I'm now having kind of a hard time believing that Apple's going to be able to start an OLED iPhone at $650 with 5G modems, with an A14 chip, and a form factor that tiny and compact. It just seems like the impossible, but who knows? Maybe Apple will eat the profit this year and just focus more on services, because they don't want to profit too much off the iPhone. They just want to make sure people stay within iOS, and the lower price points will keep that competitive advantage they have over a lot of premium flagship Androids, which seem to be going up and up and up every year. So hoping for the best, but this is the latest report, and I'd like to keep you guys up to date with the iPhone 12 rumors, and currently not good. That's the running state of the iPhone 12 right now. So hopefully we hear something better soon. It's reported that BOE is whipping up a second batch that might hopefully reach standards, but we all know time is extremely limited right now, and this could even result in the iPhone getting delayed further than we initially thought. So no one knows really what's going to happen. A lot's riding on BOE, and a lot's riding on how Samsung and LG decide to price their OLED panels, but let me know what you guys think is going to happen. Feel free to hit me up over on Twitter, join my Discord, and we can chat more about it there. This is your Apple Sheep here, and if you've made it to the end of the video, you need to unsubscribe from this channel, because you are wasting your time and your life. There's so many better things you could be doing right now. I'll see you in the next one.